Oh yeah,
Hello.
bro,
There
I'm
you
out
go.
here looking like a young Diana Ross again. What's going
Damn,
on?
you got a power quiff. Look at that. It's like a tower. Go on, put it straight up. Lift it up. I want to see how high it goes. Jesus. You're like one of those TikTok boys.
Oh, don't say that.
You know the ones that go to the camera and they're just like, hey. You could be one of those.
Yeah, that's the future of Omid. Hang on, my camera's a bit smudged, I think.
Hey, Alex Hunter. How you doing?
Lovely.
All right, what are people saying? Someone said Kojo Drugs Lab coming soon. Yeah. Someone says, oh, there was a funny one earlier before I let you in. Oh yeah, some kid said, "I'm a kid, lol, bye." That was his comment. Love it. But yeah, let's have a chat.
Speaking of Kojo's Drug Lab, I've just been on GTA for like literally 8 minutes.
What, just getting a real quick...
Yeah, I've been running around like doing this edit and like getting that video out, and then did a workout and stuff, and I was just like, you know what, I've got 8 minutes. I want to see how many stars I can get on GTA. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be fun to do an actual game of Trick, like in the gym.
Yeah.
More. That would be kind of fun if we get a little crew for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we could do one with JJ and Matt at some point.
Oh, we could do 2-on-2. Yo, that'd be hype.
That'd be fun. Yeah. That'd be fun. We should do that.
Yeah, that'd be super good.
But yeah, I had some questions from people. I had one of them that was kind of interesting. Most of them, well, you know, the usual stupid questions.
Tricking, bro.
How you do tricking?
Who are tricking, bro? Oh, we shouldn't be mocking these people that don't speak English as their mother language.
Matt said, if I could shuriken cutter, I know we'd win. I don't know. Me and Omid would just do bad shuriken cutters, like.
Yeah, I can do it whenever I want. It'll just look ass.
So that gets you through in a game of Trick.
Yeah.
So Niall said, "Yo, Kojo, your tip about getting the tally chart out worked. I went over my head in a gain of flash once. Yes, get him, Niall. Congrats.
Tally
Keep
chart.
pushing."
You know about?
Yeah. Do you know when people feel like they're not making any progress, if you try and like jot down how many times you've actually attempted each stage, then it's a lot easier to stay motivated and keep pushing. We got a hi from Chile.
Hello, Chile. I've never met anybody from Chile who hasn't greeted me and told me they're from Chile.
Yeah,
not a single person.
It's tradition.
Hell yeah.
It's part of being Chilean.
It's in the contract.
The contract.
Yeah, to become a citizen.
You have to sign a contract immediately at the womb.
Yeah, I did it.
Someone said, imagine Kojo testing a lot of drugs and jumping in the garden tramp. I pay for this. I mean, if we want to arrange that, then I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't be a good move. I don't know.
Nah, that'd be fascinating.
New comedy show
on some like Vice documentary type deal, where this lone wolf of a man, he just kind of tries all the drugs and then does these flips and sees what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it'll make for a good YouTube title. First triple back on PCP.
Attempted standing triple back on PCP.
Meth quintful. So one interesting question that was submitted is about why don't I wear an ankle support after injuring my ankle? And the main thing for me is because I don't think it really helps much. And also, after what I did to my ankle, I don't plan on landing sketch on my ankle, is the thing. I shouldn't need the support because I should never be working outside of a certain range. And also, I don't want to rely on the support. I want to make sure my ankle is strong enough to be doing anything I want to do. So that's why I don't wear a support. I like to know exactly how much it's hurting on what, and then just slowly build up and keep conditioning until I can do harder things. I don't want to have the support on and try and like skip ahead to things that I shouldn't really be doing it yet. If you need the support, then should you be doing it? That's the way I look at it anyway.
I agree, and from my experience with knee braces and whatnot, after I did my ACL, around the time when I did my ACL, it was really trendy for everybody to have that like mechanical knee brace. It seemed like everyone that did their ACL was just getting those braces. And I specifically said to my surgeon and my physio, like, I don't want to use a brace. Like, what is it going to help? Is it going to be detrimental to my recovery if I don't use it? And they basically said, no, there is a slightly higher chance of re-injury, but that's only if you're stupid with things. So after he told me, like, he gave me the go-ahead to be able to just, like, not use a brace, it was basically the same thing. I was just like, I don't want my knee to become dependent on it. And then I ended up getting a lot stronger, a lot faster.
Yeah, well, same approach for me, really.
Someone said you can visit photos of Chile here.
Oh, the Chileans hooking it up.
I've never known anybody. I think Chile and people from Colorado, like, they're the most, like, patriotic people on planet Earth. They love it.
Yeah, they do. Those Chileans. But yeah,
You love us.
We do nowhere without the Chileans.
Matt says, coat it with deep heat until it solidifies into an ankle brace. Genius. I mean, that's my approach.
Yeah, that's my approach as well.
Just have a thick layer of deep heat on, and you're good. You know. All right. Dilk said, "Go on, you read it."
What's more important, technique or mindset? I'll let you weigh real quick, and then if I've got anything to add, I'll jump in.
I think it depends. They're both important for different things. In terms of doing really hard tricks, then I think mindset outweighs technique by a long shot. I mean, there's people with really bad technique who get to the point where they're doing quads and stuff and full-ins and cork-ins and cheap 14s, like with pretty bad technique, but they have the right mindset to attack it. Whereas there's other people who have great technique on their like cheap 9 and stuff, but you're never going to see them doing cheap 14, and they're not going to be doing combos to triple cork because they don't have the right mindset. So I'd say for getting good looking tricks, then technique probably more important, but for doing the hardest tricks, reaching the highest level, mindset's more important. So yeah, it depends on the type of tricker you want to be, what's most important.
I agree with that. But I think it also depends on the type of mindset that you're talking about, because if you've got a really good progressive mindset that's like work hard and rehab hard and all that kind of thing, but you don't have the greatest technique, there's a much higher risk of injury. So I think overall I would say technique is more important, because even if you are getting to the point where you're doing cheap 14, the chances of you snapping your shit up to the point of like kind of debilitating so you don't return to tricks, it's a lot higher. So I would say overall technique is more important. But you kind of... I
think if you're missing... My point was you can get to a really high level without the technique, but you can't get to a really high level without the mindset. True. But you can still have good tricks. So I guess they're both really important. Someone said, can't we work both technique and mindset? Yeah, you can, but the question is what's more important. So one of these comments is something I was thinking about the other day, actually. Where do you draw the line between throwing something because you know you could land it and being stupid? And I think the line is, don't think about throwing something because you think you could land it. You should treat it like, what are the chances of me failing this? If you're certain you're not going to fail, that's when you should do it. And that's when it's not stupid. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I could land this, maybe I could do it, then it's probably not quite there yet. You want to be certain that you're not going to fail. You could do it like kind of wrong and you're still going to land it fine. When it comes to dangerous things, if it's just a little tiny movement, then it doesn't matter that much. Just try it. It's whatever. But if you're like pushing your limits and you're doing your new hardest thing, then I think train the prerequisites to the point where you're sure you're not going to fail, rather than training to the point where you think you could land it. That's the way I'm trying to look at it now.
I agree, but do you not think that there's still an element of having the question when you're going into a new trick. Like, let's say, for example, you've done all the prereqs for like going to quad full on floor as an example. You've drilled that on tramp thousands of times. You've done all the triple full variations and you feel strong enough. But I still think there is for me, I don't feel like there's going to be that like certainty that I'm going to land it. Do you know what I mean?
Why?
Because like, it's just different. Like, I don't know, those kind of things, like, they just, sometimes they don't kind of go the way that you want it to. And you're not going to land, like, every new trick that you try, you don't land first time, even if it's a really hard trick.
It depends how much you prepare it. Like, in the past, yeah.
Well,
I didn't... Huh?
Well, I was going to say, like, what kind of experience are you speaking from? Are you speaking like now?
I'm talking about, like, after injury and stuff, just from training in a different way.
Yeah.
I didn't fail. Like, I landed my first triple cork, I tried. I landed my first dub, I tried. I landed my first switch strip, I tried. Like, I think you can.
Yeah, but you had done them before.
Yeah, but that's kind of beside the point, because, like, you're with the quad full example, you have done quad full before. You've done it thousands of times on a trampoline, is what you said as the example.
Yeah, but it's still different doing it on the floor.
It's not. If you want to think that way, then yeah. But I'd suggest not thinking that way because it's not productive.
No, but I think just the actual, it is physically different. Like, there's no two ways about it. You have to change what you're doing on the floor compared to what you'll do on trampoline, because it's not the same surface.
It's not in the air.
No, I know, but obviously there are elements that are going to be different.
If you can do triple full variations, you just take off like the triple full variation and then you do a quad. You said they'd practice triple full variations, they've practiced quads, then you can do it. Like, when I did my first triple cork, I was sure that I could do it. And then I did it. And then I did it again.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know.
And that was before I even, like, learned as much about, like, that's before I was as careful. Like, I wasn't quite as prepared for stuff then. But I was prepared enough to know that I could do it because I'd done it on the trampoline, like, 1,000+ times. So, and I had done double cork on the floor load. So I was like, well, yeah, I know how to do it.
I know, but this is something that I think for the majority of people, like, this is why I haven't done quad full. Like, I probably do have. I have the. We've spoken about this in the past. Like, huh?
You haven't trained the prerequisites.
I know. I didn't say that I had.
Yeah, I know.
But
so in your case, then yeah, like, I wouldn't go for quad full yet. I'd do it on the trampoline like 1,000+ times first.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like, I still think that there are elements that even if the takeoff is different, like, the first time you do it, it's still a new thing for you. Even if you've done it on tramp, it's still technically a new part of that trick that you've never done before.
Yeah, I agree, but you don't want to think about it like that.
No, it's true, but I still think that I don't know, actually. I think it gives you a little bit more, like, from my perspective, I think it kind of, for me, it would ground me a little bit more, because even if I'm going into it and with the best of my knowledge and best of my ability, trying to land the trick as best I can, I still think it's good for me to kind of think like, well, this is a little bit different, so I need to be able to kind of envision every possibility, including one where I don't land it. What do you think about that?
I can't see how that would benefit you in any way.
Because if you do end up bailing it, then you're not, because, like, you've done tricks before where you're 100% that you're going to land it, but then something's gone wrong and you haven't necessarily, like, realized, but you're so focused on landing it that you've ended up fucking it bad.
Normally when I'm sure that I'm going to land it, I'll either land it or be very close to landing it and be fine. That normally happens if I'm not prepared enough. Like your example of things you hadn't done. So some tricks, like a lot of cart dub variations, I've done first time, like cart full D-leg, twist D-leg, cart muck dirty round, stuff like that. I did on the floor the first time I ever tried it, and I wasn't surprised because I'd done the variation on the trampoline so many times. I knew how to take off and get enough height from the cart, and then I just did them. I never had to practice them on the floor. Like I did it the first time I tried, and I expected to because I knew that I could do it. There's loads of moves that I know I can do that I've never tried on the floor. Just because I've prepped them so much on the trampoline, I understand the difference between how hard things are from the floor to the tramp. Like Matt said about the setup being different from floor to tramp, if you understand the differences, then you know. Like if I know exactly how much harder it is for me to take off and get the same height on the floor as I do on the tramp, then I can train on the tramp and know exactly what I can do on the floor. It just depends how in tune you are with like the trampoline and the floor, how much you understand how different they are. Like,
Yeah,
I guess lots of people don't understand the differences, but if you do understand the differences, you can just take anything over.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just feel like, I guess, from my perspective, I guess it is because I don't necessarily have those, I don't know, those things fine-tuned in. And this wasn't even initially about me. It was just that the quad full was also applicable for me. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably why I have that. And as I've got a little bit older, I have become a little bit more of a pussy because I'm scared of getting injured.
Well,
that's kind of top
like you said, with imagine, you should be able to imagine all the ways it could go and it going wrong. I totally agree. I think imagine all the ways it can go wrong before you trying it. But when you are thinking, okay,
and make sure those things don't happen,
then you're like, all right, I know that those bad things aren't going to happen, so now I'm going to try it.
Yeah,
and I think holding it in your head that they might isn't going to help in any way. There's just more chance of you messing it up because you're not going to be as confident.
No, I feel that, and I agree. I guess it was just more, I don't know, the angle that we were both coming at it from then. Because, like, I'm not saying when you're going into a new trick, you should be thinking, oh, I might not land this. Because, like, I've never got, even tricks that I know I'm not going to land, I've gone into it thinking I'm going to fucking stomp this. Like, in the earlier days. But, like, yeah, I don't know, I guess.
Well, one thing Matt said, you could do thousands of quads on tramp, but have you done one TDR punch quad on tramp? Shouldn't matter at all. If you know how to take off out of your TDR and punch, and you know you can get enough height to do a triple full variation, so you know how to generate enough power to easily do triple full variation, and then you can do a quad on the trampoline at the same height that you do that triple full variation, then you can do quad on the floor. You don't need to have done, because touchdown raise punch on a trampoline, it's not going to feel anything like the floor. Like when you're training on the trampoline, you're not training carrying momentum from the setup into the trick. Like if I did gainer switch triple corks on tramp, which I've trained a bit in the past, it's not really training gainer switch triple cork. It only really trains the triple cork bit, because the important part of gainer switch triple cork is how you carry the momentum. And on a trampoline, you don't carry momentum, you bounce.
They kind of become like two separate things in my head. On tramp. It's like,
but you just got to know the links is all. And
yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I think we're kind of getting at the same point, but I guess I just have. I guess does just kind of boil down to the fact that like myself and a lot of other people like don't have that. We don't have things as tuned in and have the understanding to the same level that someone like you may have. Or like someone like Eduardo is a perfect example.
Oh yeah, like he's a perfect. Yeah,
he's a really really good example. Yeah,
yeah, he's molded by the trap.
He became the trap. Yeah, actually, for real. Like when you see him do tricks on grass, even if it looks like the hardest grass on the planet, he's just pinging about like a little grasshopper. It's fucked, a little Mexican grasshopper.
Oh, but what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I'll prove this point. I'll prove it with Gainer Helicoptero. Because, I mean, I've done some kind of Gainer Helicoptero years ago, but not a very good one. But I'll keep doing them on the trampoline. I'll have done like over 1,000 on the trampoline. I know how to do a good high gainer on the ground. And when I try it on the ground, I'll do it first try. Because I know I'm getting enough height. I understand the movement. I know how to do it. So I'll just do it. Like, if I'm going to go for something like that, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, what if I land on my ankle wrong and stuff? I just prep it to the point where I'm not going to do that because I know how to do the move and I know how to get enough height. So that would be my approach for judging it. So like at the moment, like back to the original question about whether you should do something if you feel like you can do it, or is it stupid, like the line between where it's stupid to try something or where you should be trying something new. Gainer Helicoptero, I could go and try that right now. I might be able to do it. I've done Gainer Helicopteros before. I'm good at Gainer. I might be able to do it. I'm not sure. But if I practice 500 more on the trampoline, I will be able to do it. Yeah. So I try it after that point. I try it when I'm at the point in my head where I know that I will be able to do it fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with all of that. I just, yeah. to be honest with you, when we were discussing that, I kind of lost track of what the original point was. It just kind of became something completely different, but I don't know. Yeah.
That's what makes it interesting. Yeah. What we say? Anyone saying anything interesting?
Someone said, I just throw it. It's painful sometimes. What? It's painful sometimes, though. No cap.
Genius.
Yeah. Don't do that.
So Matt says, does Tiki confirm the debate? I mean, yeah, Tiki is a great example of that. Tiki is the best example of that. Look at how many he's done. Like, he was twisting on the tramp before he could do anything on the floor, really. I remember when
Alexander as well.
And he could quad on tramp. Yeah, Alexander on the big red bouncy thing could do quads and shit before he could do much on the ground. Oh, and Lewis says, but you've don't thousands of switches. You broke your ankle on that. I landed in a hole in the floor. If you flip on one leg on a hole in the floor, it will break your ankle. Same thing happened to Mike Guthrie on a cork. It's not that the switch was dangerous. It's that the floor with holes in was dangerous.
Yeah.
So I learned not to flip on floors with holes in.
I learned that as well because I blew my calf out in that same gym a year later, which wasn't pleasant.
Yeah, because the floor had holes in. And it's crazy. People will still train on it because it's hard to learn from other people's mistakes.
Bro, I was on a different floor.
It still had holes in, though.
I know, but it didn't feel... This lane that I was training in didn't feel like it had any holes in. I'm not sure whether I just broke the boards because...
You might have.
That I checked the lane. I remember I didn't want to do any tricks because of holes. And then I checked this lane. I was like, all right, fine. I just did touch somebody's punch, and then that was it. Game over. My calf was fucked.
Yeah, it's peak. The bad floors.
Yeah.
All right. Well, someone said, "Can you do the splits?" Yeah.
How's your box lately?
My box split's nearly there.
Is it almost there?
It's not quite. After I hurt my adductor, I had to ease off it a bit.
Yeah.
But I've been getting back on it now. It's always nearly there, but it's getting closer and closer. My front split I can do when I'm warmed up on both sides. All right.
Yeah. My box split is dreadful. It's so
hard. It's hard for a man, for male hips.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like just loosening up my what's it called? Is it your I don't know, the psoas or something like that. Loosening up your psoas kind of makes kicks a lot easier, and then it also makes it a lot easier to be able to like build the box split, because I've noticed such a drastic improvement in my like single just round and hook kicks, just with like really focused stretching in those areas, because I always just feel like whenever I do a round or a hook kick, it's just like ripping my hips to pieces. And yes, I know I have bad kicks, but I'm working on it, all right?
No, they're getting better.
Oh, I did some yesterday that you'd be proud of.
Yes, gee.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to work on mine more. But today's the rest day. Though I did just stub my toe on the ground earlier. It's really hurts. But yeah. All right. What we saying, guys? Kid Clark says, I live in a town where there's no trickers, barely tumblers. I train by myself and teach my brother tricking. It's a struggle for me to progress. Any tips for that? I've seen you training in a gym, so you have a gym, so it's not a struggle for you to progress necessarily. You got to look. There's tons of people around the world who don't have any spring floor access. You got a gym with mats and stuff. You're in a pretty good position to be progressing compared to most of the world. Your brother's learning tricking, so you got someone who's living with you who does tricks. I don't know. I wouldn't use that as an excuse, there being no trickers around. Just focus on getting better at tricking. If you're really good, people will see you doing it and be like, wow, I want to learn that. And then more people will start tricking. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just focus on getting as good as you can for now.
Word.
Some other guy said, should I learn to cross my legs while twisting? It feels unnatural to me, but everyone does it. You don't necessarily need to force it, I don't think. But as long as your legs are close together. Because you know some gymnasts, they don't cross their legs, but they can do quads and stuff still. What do you think, Omid? I don't think you have to cross your legs. I think it's just finding what feels best for your twist.
I I don't think it'll change the game whether they're crossed or completely straightened together, to be honest with you. If anything, I feel like what would probably end up happening is you spend all this time on making sure that your legs don't cross, and then you end up... Well, for this guy in particular, it'd be a little bit different. But like for me, my legs do cross naturally. It just kind of happens. But I feel like if I did it, I'd spend all this time trying to not let them cross, and then it wouldn't change anything except for the aesthetic. And I don't mind the way it looks when they do cross ever so slightly. Like if they're like this, very different. But I don't think it'd make much of a difference overall.
Mm. Yeah, same. Matt said if you don't cross your legs, you're gonna have to have some crazy adductor and core strength.
Yeah, fucking through that.
Yeah. So good conditioning.
Yeah. Someone said, how impactful is it to miss out on entire tricks in your arsenal? Can you still be good by not being able to do every trick of like a beginner / intermediate level?
Yes.
Now, yeah, but you need to... I think the best thing for most people, especially early on, I think obviously this will change and it'll like evolve as you get deeper and deeper into tricking. I think the best thing to do is sit down and actively assess what you want to do. Now, we've discussed this a bunch of times in the past, but like really sit down and think, what is the coolest thing to me? What are the coolest set of tricks? And then just kind of go down that path and do everything that you can. But I think it is beneficial to work to a certain level on all of the kind of basics. You don't have to be great at everything. Just be able to be kind of multifunctional. But obviously it depends on the person. Someone like Jordan Edwards can't do twists that great, but he went down a particular path and he really kind of pushed it, and that's what works for him.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good trickers can't do certain things. Like Alex Hunter B-twists on the other side, and there's lots of trickers with stuff like that. I don't think it's not that big of a problem, really. Like, if you really want to change it, like for me, I couldn't touchdown raise, and I hated that I couldn't do it because I really like how it looks, and I wanted to be able to do it. So, yeah, then I did the 1,000 rep challenge and learned that. So you can change it. Like, if you go down one route, but you're missing something and you want to go back and get it, if you really put the time in, you can, like, add that to your arsenal. So I wouldn't worry too much about feeling like you need to train everything. You can train the things you want to train. But it is good to have a base, like Omid said. At least try everything out, you know. Try out some pop falls, try some wrap kicks and swing kicks. Like, see what areas you like.
I think that's really important as well, because like you never know what tricks are going to help with random other tricks that aren't even linked. True. Like especially when you're in the earlier stages and you're not necessarily thinking of doing the way higher level tricks. Like for me, I think it would have been quite beneficial for me to train pop 7 double way more, because I feel like the motion is a lot closer. Is probably the closest pop kick to like a shuriken cutter, as an example. And I think that could have ended up helping me if I'd have just spent a little bit more time doing that when I first tried to learn it. Because I remember I tried to learn it one time and then just gave up immediately and haven't tried it in like 9 years or something. But yeah, it'll end up helping with random things. Like if you can B-twist well, that might end up affecting your backside 9 in a strange way or whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people asking about my ACL recently. I actually had a question as well about my ACL on my story post, but someone said you were completely knocked out when you did the ACL reconstruction, or just your leg was numb. Nah, bro, I was out cold. I was dead to the world. If they'd have done that to me when I was awake, but my leg was numb, bro, I'd have been screaming the house down. They fucking brutalized me. They cut half of my meniscus off, for fuck's sake.
Jesus.
I've only got half a meniscus, I have.
Well, you got 1.5.
Well, yeah, 1.5.
Now, that's assuming you've got a whole one in the other leg.
Nah, the other one's pretty solid, I think.
Just a little dusty little meniscus.
It's like a little lily flower at this point, just kind of withering away.
It just crumbles if you touch it.
Half of it's ash.
Lewis Lightfoot said, advice for someone that can trick but has lost a lot of flexibility over the past 2 years. My tricks aren't as clean as I'd like, and feel like it's because of my flexibility. Cheers, lads. Advice for you: stretch. I mean, solved. Stretch regularly. Be more flexible. Solved. I live in an Arab country, and there are no professionals. Can you advise me as a professional? Advice number 1: Kojo's Trick Lab. Nah, even if the £10 is too much for you, go on Kojo's Trick Lab YouTube channel, watch the videos on there. There's some good quality content on there. There's a 30-minute video from Michael Guthrie talking about everything to do with how he approaches training on there for free. So go and watch that. That's a starting point. And if you want over 800 other videos that will help, Kojo's Trick Lab.
Also, your mindset shouldn't be focused on whether there's professionals around you or not, especially with the age that we live in. Because if we're professionals, it's the same as you having professionals near you. You know what I'm saying? Like, with the internet, it doesn't matter where people are located. Like, Kojo and I can speak to each other, even though we haven't seen each other in months, and it's exactly the same as if, I don't know, we were seeing each other. Just forget about the professionals.
Yeah, you don't need them. You can figure it out. We did all right before meeting professionals.
Yeah.
You've got to try. I'm not even going to try and read this guy's name, but he said, okay, I have a general question. What is the most important thing to get good at tricking? Which I feel like we're always answering this one, and the answer always changes a bit. But I think if we had to go on the single most important thing, I think mindset comes before everything. Because without the right mindset, how are you even going to refine your technique? How are you going to build the power you need to? How are you going to get the flexibility? It's like, if you don't have the right mindset, it's not going to work. If you don't think you can get good, then why would you stretch every single day? How are you going to keep yourself motivated to put in all this effort if you don't believe you can get good? You'll just give up after a bit because you don't believe it can happen. So I think the mindset comes first before every single other thing.
Also, you need to understand how you can get good as well. So if you don't have the right mindset, everything's just going to kind of happen, and you're not really sure why. You're not really thinking about things in much depth. So you're not going to understand how progression really happens. Because you can kind of get away with that in like the lower stages of anything in life. You can get to like a, beginner kind of level of anything and not have a fucking clue what you're doing. But if you've got the right mindset and you start to like really analyze what it is that's making you better at these different things, it will make it a lot easier. But yeah, mindset.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to what we were going to talk about in this video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about balancing your work and tricking, because a lot of people use it as an excuse. They say, oh, I have too much work on, or I'm studying, or whatever. All these excuses to not trick, which are valid and fine if you're like just casually tricking. But if you're someone who actually wants to get good at it, then these excuses don't hold up, because tricking doesn't care how busy you are. You're not just going to keep progressing at the same rate because tricking's like, oh, he's busy, but he'll keep the same progression. Even though he's just too busy to trick, though. I'll make him better. Nah.
Give him a minute, yeah.
Yeah, you don't put in the work, you don't get better. So how do you structure your training around everything else? I'll let you say your approach first, Omid.
My first kind of approach is, the first thing I should mention about my approach is really trying to categorize what is most important to me. Because for many, many, many years, I skipped out on any kind of social event that wasn't tricking related. I would spend my time thinking about, watching, and doing everything that was related to tricking. I kind of alienated myself from all of my friends at that period, and because it was just the most important thing to me, I fell so deeply in love with it. So once you decide what it is that is most important to you, and you kind of structure what you think is most important in your life as a whole, then the things at the bottom of the list, they can go. And then that can be more time spent on all the other things. So instead of doing 15 different things that you like of many different levels, just focus on the things that you love so much that you can't bear to spend your time on anything else because you see it as a waste. Like, it got to that point for me with a lot of things where I was just like, this is a waste of my time because I know I want to be doing something else, which is probably tricking related or whatever. So that's usually the best thing for me. And then I structure everything else that's below that around the number one priority.
I feel like a lot of people have trouble with that because of a lack of confidence in some ways that it will that they can do that.
Yeah.
Because you'll have people telling you like, oh, if you're not putting in enough work at school, or if you're not doing this and that, your life's going to be ruined. So I think if you start to believe that if you don't get that like really good grade, then your whole life's going to be ruined, then that can that allows other things to take precedent over tricking. I don't know if you use that word right, but what changed my view on it early on, so around when I first started tricking, is listening to the video, what if money didn't matter? It's taken from an Alan Watts talk. Look it up. What if money didn't matter? It's a really good video where he pretty much explains, like, I mean, everyone wants to get a good job so they have money so that they can use the money to enjoy their life. But if you're spending 40 plus hours a week not enjoying your life, you kind of already lost. So if you use the starting point of what do I enjoy doing, and then how can I make enough money to live around that? So I think changing the way you look at it, instead of thinking I need to get enough money so I can do the things I want, think about doing the things you want and then trying to get enough money to keep it going. Like just switching it around. That really helped me. I did that from a really early age. Even when I worked in an office, then I reduced my hours. I worked 3 days a week. When I worked at the trampoline park, I was able to like work less and teach more classes so that I could train more. I've always just structured everything around my training. There's been times when I've worked 60 hours a week and I still managed to train just as much. You just got to be smart about how you structure it. It's like if your gym session is on Tuesday evening or Thursday evening, you're busy on Tuesday evening, Thursday evening. Someone asks you to do something, nah, you're busy. Work wants you to work, nah, busy, not happening, tricking. You got to just put it first. Everything else will fall into place. If you make it very clear to your employer that this is some serious shit, they'll let you do it. And if they don't, find another job. But every employer I've had has not really got in the way.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you found kind of, because what have you found difficult? Because like it's easy to talk about the things that we've done and the things that we've had to like kind of overcome, like at the point now where we're at. But what have you found most difficult throughout the process over the years to get to the point where you're at now?
I'd say the most difficult part about taking this approach when you do give your training that importance, whether it's tricking or something else, just whatever your passion is, if you give it that level of importance, it means if you do lose it temporarily, then it's really, really hard. So from having that approach, it means when, like me getting injured, especially when it first happened, then I did take it really hard. And I'd say that's the major downside. If you place that much importance on your tricking, you want to get as good as possible. When your body gets injured and you can't do it at all for months, and then you're way worse than you were after all those thousands of hours of work, then it can be really disheartening. And yeah, I'd say that's the worst thing about it. But if you can push through, if you can still be, while you're injured in your cast, like, I love tricking, I'm going to get back to it, I'm going to get better than ever, then you got nothing to worry about. You'll come back and you'll be tricking again. So that's what I learned anyway. I wish I knew that earlier on. But after my last ankle break, the whole time when I had my cast on, I was like, I'm going to get back, I'm going to get better than ever. And I got back and better than ever in a lot of ways. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same thing when I did my ACL. That was like, it was really crazy. There were moments where I had doubt. Like, I'm not going to, just say that I was completely confident the whole time. And throughout the process, because it was like a year long, even towards the end of it, there were points where I was like, is this going to work out the way that I'm envisioning it? But it was never really a question, except for those moments where I would falter and there were slight doubts. It was pretty much never a question as to what I was doing and why I was doing it. and where I was going to be within a certain period of time. It was just like, this is what's going to happen. Like, my surgeon and my PT had told me, like, you're probably never going to get anywhere near what you used to be able to do. You might be able to do some stuff, but like most people have difficulty then just like, you know, getting back to walking and stuff. So don't be thinking about how great you're going to be in future. Like, and these were actual things that they said to me before I'd even gone under the knife. And that was a moment where immediately I felt like a naughty boy in the head teacher's office. I was just like, even though you're a trained professional, every single word that you just said to me sounds like bullshit. And it turns out it was bullshit because I just worked hard enough, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from getting back and even further in tricking.
Yeah, I think just the more inspirational stories you look at of people getting really messed up and then getting back to their sport, the easier it is to like keep that motivation and stay positive. And Nick asked, have you ever had any injuries where you thought you couldn't come back? And my first injury in 2013, yeah, for sure. I'd never been injured before. I didn't have many experienced trickers around me. None who were giving me any good advice anyway. Didn't get any good advice from anyone. So my ankle just really hurt to walk on for months. And I was like, well, if it hurts to walk on, how am I going to be able to trick again? And it took a long time, and it wasn't until after about a year that I was really like, okay, it's kind of healed now. But for a long time, I thought that it wouldn't heal. And I just got really, really sad. And yeah, I was just sad.
But this is kind of like, this ties into that discussion about the sport getting bigger, because like, if at the time the sport was big enough, you would have had more people around you that had been through this. If there were like legit professionals, people on like a world stage that were making tons of money, that were able to like, I don't know, the information that people get can kind of trickle down. So if you've seen these really inspirational stories from trickers that have been competing at the highest level, and you realize, okay, so this guy has posted this video because he's gone through something similar, as an example, then you end up with that knowledge and you're not freaking out the whole time. You realize that you should be conditioning and when you should go to a physio and what you're looking for in a good physio and all that kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us, we're just young dickheads that just haven't got a clue what to do when we get injured. So like, if you can't afford at the time, because I know there was a period for me where I couldn't afford certain treatment because I was still in college. I just wasn't making any money. So I was like, well, I've hurt myself a little bit. I'm just going to hope that I can be fine soon. And it was okay when I was younger. But like, as you get a little bit older, even into your like very early 20s, the more support that we can kind of get within the community, the better, because it means that people are going to be able to push further along. Yeah,
I agree. I think there's a lot more information out there now. I think people know now if you get injured, then you can recover from it if you put in enough work. Yeah. I remember as well, early in my tricking, I was always hearing about people who like messed up their knee or their ankle or whatever, and they just didn't trick anymore. Yeah. Like, because the way people saw tricking, like a lot of the trickers who were around when I first started, they were into it, but people weren't into it like seriously. People didn't take it. People didn't see it as a serious sport that they were like really working on. They just kind of went and hung out and threw some tricks, which is fun and cool. But it meant that when those people got hurt, then lots of them just quit. So all I was seeing around me was people getting hurt and just quitting. So when I was hurt, I was like, oh, so I have to quit now? But I didn't want to quit at all because I was like, I love this so much. I've already given my whole life to it. I've made it my number one priority in life. So I couldn't quit, but I didn't know if I was going to heal. And if I did know I was going to heal, would have been way easier. That's why the second time I broke my ankle, then I knew I was going to heal. So it was nowhere near as bad.
Yeah.
What else are we saying, people? Just share one of these questions. Look at this. Wow. Look at that.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Fucking hell.
Growing old with tricking. I was listening to Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk
on Joe Rogan. He's 52. and the guy's doing 4 2-hour sessions a week skateboarding. He's had loads of injuries, and skateboarding's more dangerous than tricking, I reckon. I think it's more dangerous than tricking, especially if you're doing like, if you have really good technique and you're not pushing beyond your limits in tricking. I don't know. I think that I'll be going strong when I'm like 50. You'll see. Just wait and see.
You'll all see.
You'll all see. I'll be tricking when I'm an old ass man, because I'm not going to stop ever.
Well, anybody who hasn't seen it, well, there's probably a lot of people, but if you get the chance, definitely watch the Tony Hawk, Joe Rogan interview, because it's super interesting seeing that somebody who was such a pioneer and ended up being like the face of the sport for many years. How old is he? 50?
52.
52. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was great. Like, it got me so excited because, like, what?
Well, because we don't have that precedent in tricking yet. It's not been around enough.
We could be the trailblazers.
We could. Someone said it's not as physically demanding, though. And I disagree. Like, what makes you think skateboarding's not as physically demanding? Skateboarders get way worse injuries than trickers.
Yeah.
They, like, die and stuff.
And what do you mean in terms of physically demanding? Because,
it's
like,
on hard floor. Like,
look at even like the physical demand of like endurance sports. They usually go on for way longer, and that's much closer to the demand that tricking has compared to skateboarding. Skateboarding is like a few really, really high impact things, like street skating anyway. And then you've kind of done your session for the day, and you might do that 20 times, but that's like jumping down a 9 stair or whatever.
Yeah. Well, someone said tricking has more physicality involved than skateboarding. I don't know how you can. I don't know what you mean by more physicality. Like, both of them are physical things that require like loads of knee and ankle stability. Just one of them, you fall on hard floors. I think it depends on the kind of tricking you do. If you're doing full-ins and landing short with your hands down, then yeah, tricking's going to be like more impact. But if you're just doing a clean B-twist, cheat 9, hook, raise, cork, swing, gainer, and you've got really good technique, that's barely any impact at all. Because it is just down to technique. And I guess if you've not done tricking that long, you wouldn't know. But like me doing 10 gainer switches is more comfortable on my ankles than me sprinting. It's like, it's what your body's used to and what your body's conditioned for that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt said we land on soft floors. They land on a wooden board with wheels on concrete. I'm like, yeah, I'd agree. Like, if you're tricking on a soft floor, doing things you know how to do, and you stay really flexible, you're stretching every day, you're conditioning, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to be tricking at a decent level in your 50s. And I think it's going to happen. I'm going to do it. Just hold on for 25 years, and you'll see. Just wait there for 25 years, and you'll see it. It'll happen.
Well, someone said, you guys set the bounds as to what tricking is. You make the path. And in some ways, like, I would like to do that. I really want to be able to set the precedent as to what is kind of capable for people of a certain age. Because, like, there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be able to do things that people never thought were possible at a certain age. Like, I really, really believe it. If I just kind of keep honing my skills and keep getting better at, like, my craft and have a better understanding of what's going to make me capable of doing this, then there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be able to make something happen. And I know you're the same. Because at the end of the day, like, we just don't want to stop. So that's probably going to be the driving force. Whereas a lot of other people, like, they kind of get swayed, like, way before we've got to this point. Like, there's not that many people that trick for the amount of time we have and then end up just being like, well, I need to keep going. It
depends how into it you are. It depends how into it. Because some people are, like, and I believe them as well, are really into tricking and they're just tricking. And I'm like, fair enough. But lots of the stuff I do outside of training is for my tricking. So what, like, starting a business and working on stuff like that, I'm, like, crafting my life so that I can trick. I'm making it so that I can work from home, so that I can afford stem cell treatment when I need it, so that I can get a home spring floor in the future. I'm putting in all the work outside of the tricking so that I can keep going. Lots of people just kind of session. And yeah, I think if you just kept sessioning and didn't, like, set up your life so you'd be able to train like really dedicate a few hours a day to training, then yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to trick when you're 50. But if you set up your life, so you've got a spring floor, you're training at home, you're using a sauna regularly, you're stretching every single day, you have a really good idea about technique because you've gotten videos from hundreds of different trickers around the world on every single skill in tricking, then I think you could keep tricking till you're 50 plus. It just depends how you set up your life, really. Oh, I lost Omid. So I'll have a look at some of these comments. Akib says, I'll be there with you. I started tricking quite late. I just want to prove to myself and others I can trick into my 40s and 50s. That's awesome. I think if you stay fit enough, you could definitely do that. They're forgetting how physically fit they are. Y'all have good technique, but y'all physiques show that y'all have a lot of developed muscles. You don't just one day wake up and not have developed muscles. It's not how it works. It's not like you just turn 40 and then you don't have developed muscles. Like, there's a 43-year-old gymnast who competed in the Olympics. She could do full in on the ground. She was 43. She didn't just cease to have muscles when she turned 40. It's not how it works. It's how you look after yourself. So, all right, what's Noah saying now? You should do my question. It's when can you call yourself a tricker? Like, what counts as tricking? Are you a tricker if you don't do kicks? That sort of thing. I think you're a tricker if you say you're a tricker if you, like, want to do tricking. Yeah. I think I just added him again. But yeah, I think you're a tricker if you're someone who says, I do tricking, and you try to do tricking. Even if you're just doing backflips for now, if you're into tricking and you're working towards being a tricker, then yeah. What are you saying?
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Well,
it literally, my Instagram app just went, bye.
Oh, so Matt said there was a 50-year-old that battled at hooked. Exactly. Yeah, it's just staying in shape. That's the thing. Sand Mamba said, not kicking, not tricking. Cool. Comment from 2008.
Yo, okay. Someone, who was that was saying about your body wears down over time through extensive training? Okay. I watched some CrossFit documentary, and there's this woman in it, and she's like, I think she's like 48 or something. She crushes it. She beats everyone. She doesn't give a fuck. She's lifting heavier than everybody. She's running further and faster than everybody. And she's killing it at 48. There's no reason. I think it's just a case of, like, actually believing.
It's like the old mentality as well. It's like we heard it when we were younger. People think that you just have to get to a certain age and then you just weak as shit and you can't do things. But it's just not true. There's loads of examples of people who keep performing at a high level, like getting into older ages because they keep working at it. They don't give up. So, yeah, I get why you'd think that your body just would deteriorate and you wouldn't be able to do it. But really, there's a load of people who defy that and keep doing what they want to do. Most people stop because they just stop putting in the work and give up. It's not because their bodies can't do it anymore.
I mean, I think it's fair enough. Like, one of us could have an injury that really does fuck us up. Like, anybody could. You could just end up with, like, a random thing, like something with your back. Like, a lot of people end up getting what seems like a normal back injury, and then it ends up being like one of their discs is just fucked for life. And that's perfectly viable, something that could happen. But I'm not sat here thinking like, well, I guess once I reach a certain age, there will be something that's going to stop me. It's like, well, no, what I'm going to do is try and prevent that from happening. So making sure that I'm as strong and flexible as possible, and training as much as I can in order to be able to train for as long as possible, because I love it.
Yeah. And it's like luck as well. Some of the comments people are saying, like, I agree with that. I might not be able to, you might not be able to, might just get hit by a car, might be paralyzed. You don't know. Like, anything could happen. But if you have a bit of luck on your side and you play things right, you might be fine, might be able to keep doing things. I don't see what you gain from thinking that you wouldn't be able to keep doing things. Like, just having that kind of pessimist view on life. I don't think that's going to make you have a better life. Yeah.
Sam Mamba is also, I met him in Australia. We kicked it as Omar, and he said tricking is way more abusive on the body than pushing weights slowly and controlled. Now, the example that I just gave is not pushing weights slowly. There's an event where they have an actual girder that you see at the top of warehouses that hold the fucking structure up, and they have to hit it with a hammer. They just hit it with a hammer. That's the entire event. It's not slow and controlled.
Lots of people are seeing it differently because it depends, like, how long you've been doing it as well, how you view tricking. Because, like, in the first few years, I thought tricking was so much impact on my body, but that's just because I was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about doing quad corks when you're 50, but to be able to do, to do like 5 gainer switches when you have the technique dialed in and have trained it for decades.
Literally like 30 years.
It's not that strenuous on the body. Oh, and boxing's a great example. Loads of boxers compete into their 40s, and think how much more intensive that is on your body. Actually getting punched in the face
and perpetually punched in the head.
I think that's a lot more on your body than little pushes through your ankles. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens anyway. Like, it's not happened yet. No one's tricked for a really long time, so we don't know. But there are trickers who are getting older who can still do stuff fine. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Mid?
Sorry, I was just reading some of these comments. Surrey Gymnastics said Mike Ryson. Yes, Leo, you're late.
Yeah, really late. Someone said, why do you think gymnasts retire in their 20s but trickers go forever? Lots of gymnasts retire because they're really into competitions. They've started from a really young age. They don't love doing gymnastics anymore. There's a lot of bullshit involved with gymnastics. They mainly train for the competitions, not just out of joy. When do you see gymnasts training at the park? Never. It's a different thing. It's like how Tony Hawk is still skateboarding because he loves skateboarding. He doesn't do it for competitions. So that's also the main difference. And it won't be every tricker. It will be the trickers who are super into it. And some gymnasts do go for way longer. There are gymnasts in their 40s and 50s still doing stuff. So, wrong. All right, carry on.
Fuck it. I've lost my point. You just kept speaking.
I just had to explain it. There's not so much to explain. Just all these people haven't thought about what they're saying.
I don't know. Every time I thought you'd finished your sentence, I'd just be like, okay, no, he's not. He's still going.
Yeah.
Let me just say it anyway while you're looking at comments. The other thing I was going to mention was a lot of the time gymnasts get the support from their gym because they're training for competition, which then in turn brings money and good things for the gym. But then the second they're not going to be competing and winning, the gym probably doesn't care anymore. So they're not getting the support and the help that they would need in order for them to keep pursuing it. And also the motivation from having a coach telling them, yo, keep going, you're doing fucking great, or this is what you need to improve on. Whereas that's something that we don't currently have in tricking. A lot of it comes from intrinsic motivation.
You've got to want it, yeah. So that's the big difference. Trickers don't normally get pushed into it as a kid. They do it because they want to. They have to overcome things to even do it. It says, Kojo, you broke your ankle from a faulty floor. It's rare for someone to bench press and get hurt. Like, what's that got to do with anything? Like, now I don't train on faulty floors. I don't know what that's got to do with anything. Like, you can have that view on life when you think, yeah, no one's going to be able to keep training. But the people who will keep training are the people who believe they can. So I'm going to keep going until life stops me. And if it does, oh, well, I did it for as long as I could. I enjoyed it as much as I could.
And also, like, who knows what's going to happen in future?
I could get hit by a car. A lifter could get hit by a car. Like,
I don't know. Anything could happen. You could just have a change in mindset. You could just, like...
5 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Well said. Hope you enjoyed.